Hi, everybody. This is Eugene Papa from the Hypnosis Master Summit, and I have the great honor and joy to have with us right now none other than Freddy Jacquin, who is the founder of the UK Hypnotherapy Training College. And since 1999, he created this amazing company. And he's also created the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy. He's an author, and he is also, reading a book. He's been also writing a book called Hypnotherapy, and also the creator of the Aero Technique, along with other techniques such as the time machine and blink delete. He's also actually created an app called the Painkiller app, and he'll tell us all about it in this presentation. So everybody, let's welcome Freddy Jacquin. Freddy, thank you so much for saying yes to our invitation.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's great to see you again. And as always a pleasure to speak to you. And thanks again for asking me along to do this.
I'm so happy that you said yes. And I'm so happy that we are here doing this all over again. and Freddy, the title of your presentation is The Power of Love as a Rapid Change Phenomena. And this is such a loaded title because it has so many powerful words, the power, love, rapid change, phenomena. There's so many things put into one sentence. So most of the time, when people think of love, they think of romance and they think of novels and stuff like that. But when you say rapid change phenomena, that's actually more to do with therapy, if you will, which is the way most people are using hypnosis for. So how did you put the two together? How did you put love and change in the same sentence?
Well, my thinking on hypnotherapy has changed over the years. And I've realized now that if I want to influence, and it's whether, in any way at all, obviously in therapy, we're going to help our client achieve what their outcome they've come to see us with. If I can create an emotion, then I can give you a suggestion that's going to bypass any kind of resistance. And so if I'm going to spike an emotion, then I'm going to use the most powerful, positive emotion that we know as human beings, which is love. And it can be love for a friend. It doesn't have to be a passionate, romantic love. You can, of course. So I'm going to elicit that feeling. I'm going to ask my client, who are the most important people in their life? Who do they love most? And so if a client comes in and they're killing themselves with drugs or alcohol or smoking cigarettes or even eating too much, or just through their habitual thinking behavior, then I'm going to elicit that feeling so that I can move them to where they want to be. And it's not hard to do that because your client generally is going to walk into your office in an emotional state. That's why they're there. Yeah. So it's very simple to elicit that state and then utilize it. Let me show you what I mean by this. I'm not going to hypnotize you or take you into a trance, but I'm going to show you how powerful your mind is. I know you have the beautiful Angela that you love, that loves you. And let me show you how to use this, okay? So if you're willing to do this, Eugene, what I want you to do is this. Just put your right hand out in front of you like this at shoulder height. And look at me in the camera and think about Angela. Think about the love you have for each other. Think about that beautiful girl right now. And as you feel that love, that's right. As you feel that love, as you see that girl's face, I want you to notice the arms hanging all by itself. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. And when you realize there's nothing you can do about it, Eugene, I want you to try and get that arm down, trying to go even higher. And I do not want you to pretend. Push as hard as you can. You will not offend me. Push even harder. You're a strong man. And the harder you try and get that arm down, the harder it's going to go. Push even harder, find it goes even higher. But are you hypnotized? Are you in a trance? Why can't you get your arm down? Is that even your arm? Now, something strange is going to happen. The harder you try and push that arm down, the higher the other one's going to go. Feel that force around the other hand. Imagine that love you have for Angela, that she has for you, pulling that hand up off that table. And as those hands lift, close your eyes. See that girl's face, feel that love. That reminds you just how loved you are and how incredible you are. As a man, as a partner, as a therapist, that fill you up. I'm going to snap my fingers, your arms will drift down. Your eyes will open, you have a smile on your face and a total new understanding of just how powerful hypnosis is and just how loved you are. That's right. So for me, this is no longer complex. It's
Say
not
what?
complex. If I can
Yeah.
elicit an emotion, it doesn't have to be love. I mean, a client comes into your office and they're sad. That's a big enough altered state for you to be direct with your suggestions. If someone's it's broken up with it, or they've been, they've someone's left their partner, or they've had something happen to them where they're kind of angry, then that's a big enough emotion for me to get very direct with the suggestions, which generally is, this is the last time it's going to affect you. This anger is going to go, or the need for this drug's going to go. I can be very direct very early on, even in a pre-talk. People don't think, well, I've been hypnotized, but I'm already utilizing the power of love or the power of emotion to get my message across without any resistance.
Mhm. Beautiful. Now, what happens if somebody comes to you and it's exactly the person whom they love that are causing them distress or sufferance? Would you still use this, method with them?
Well, things I won't need to elicit that emotion. When they're talking about that person that's causing them distress, or they're talking about that person, they are eliciting that emotion spontaneously. I don't have to ask them to think about that person. They're already thinking about it. They're already in that emotional state. So I can immediately use that. I could say to them, if I wanted to use phenomena, like whether it's a finger lock or it's what I call Jacqueline arm motion, which you just had an experience of, I'm going to show them the power of their mind with the emotion. So I can say, just for a moment, knowing you survived this, think about that person. It's the last time this is going to affect you in the same way. And I know that I'm going to bring that emotion up. And then I can demonstrate the power of their mind through that emotion. But you don't have to elicit. If you think it's a negative emotion that you don't want to elicit, then I would suggest that you don't. Just utilize the spontaneous emotion they're in. What I'm saying to doctors in this country, in UK, I'm trying to get them to use the Aero Technique in their 5 to 10. Most doctors say, I haven't got time to do hypnosis. It's too long-winded. I don't have time for 20 minutes induction. What I'm saying with some of the techniques that we're going to be talking about here, you don't have to even talk about hypnosis, because you just have to elicit the emotion. And what I'm saying to doctors is, when a patient walks into their doctor's surgery, you're not in the same emotional state as you are if you're in the greengrocers or the supermarket. You're already in an altered state. Same with dentists. No one sits in a dentist chair in the same emotional state as you are when you're buying music or whatever else. So once the doctor understands this, and they understand the power of this, they understand how to give us a suggestion, they can utilize that in a 5 to 10 minute doctor's appointment. And so for me, it's the biggest understanding that we as human beings can have, especially when it comes to change work. If we notice when an emotion arises, we can utilize it, or we can elicit it. And by doing that, we can help that person change their life.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, you've come up with a lot of techniques yourself, and how are you making the decision which one to use at which point, at which each situation? Because everything you do is guided by your love to help the client, basically, right? You have love for people genuinely. They don't have to be your client. I know this about you because we've met so many times, and I know how you act and interact and operate, so to speak, or at least I think I know. I like to know I know.
Yeah, thanks.
But I've seen our interaction and your interaction in the world, and I know that you're guided by this genuine love for people. And so how do you how do you make your decisions, like, in this case I should use this method, or in this case I should use this other method, or how do you do that?
Well, the way I look at most of our behaviors, and the things that we think we're stuck with, I see, when we're born, we're not born with all of those limitations, all those fears.
Yeah.
For want of a better way, when we learn something to the point where it becomes an automatic function, something we can do without thinking, You know, I play guitar, and I remember when I first learned to play guitar, I'd have to put my fingers on the chord and then strum it, and then put my fingers on the next chord and strum it. And we do that enough times. Now I could be talking to you and playing the guitar at the same time, and my fingers will automatically go to those chords because it's become an automatic function. And so there are so many things we learn like that, which things like walking and talking and reading and writing. You know, you've got at least 2 languages. You know, you can change from one language to another. But there may have been a time, Eugene, where you didn't understand English. But once you've learned English, you cannot not understand what I'm saying. You can't switch that off. It's now an automatic function. Now, generally, that works in our favor. It allows us to function the way we function in the world. But sometimes we learn something that is redundant, like the smoking habit, or eating for comfort, or an irrational fear. But in the same way as you've learned English, once it's learned, to try and change it consciously is hopeless because it's not a conscious thing you're doing anymore. But we do, as hypnotherapists, have access, if you like, to the underlying programming. The piece of programming that says, how's the cigarette now? The piece of programming that says, eat more cake. Yeah. The piece of programming that says,
I like that one.
Yeah, the cake one, yeah. But I must say, I'm talking about cake, you look incredibly fit at the moment, Eugene. You've obviously been on some kind of regime because you look super fit at the moment. Anyway, yeah. So what I believe and what I will use in every first hypnotherapy session is what I call parts negotiation, because parts negotiation for me addresses the underlying piece of programming. We can do other work, you know, and I will do other work. But in the first session, I'm going to use parts negotiation to undermine that piece of programming, because people speak in that language. Oh, I'd love to go dancing, but there's a part of me won't let me do it. I'd love to lose weight, but there's a part of me keeps eating cake. So we kind of use that language anyway. And I get round in my session to asking the question, so you don't want to do blah, blah, blah anymore? And they nod. And I say, but it's almost like there's a part of you continues to do it, even though, and they nod. So it's not like it's outlandish language. People understand it. Yeah. And so then I'll say, in a moment, I'll hypnotize you, I'll speak to that part of you. I'll ask it to explain what it's doing, what its positive intention is. Then I'll ask it to find something else to do for you. So it's very kind of simple ways of working. But I believe that in the first session, I'm going to use parts negotiation. If it's just one thing, like if I've only got a few minutes for somebody and they're suffering from chronic pain, then I'll use the Aero Technique because it's something I can use in 5 minutes. But I will use it as an add-on to parts negotiation in the first session. But as you know, if let's say you've got a plumbing problem, and I mean in your house, not in your body, but if you've got a plumbing problem and you call a plumber in, he's going to come in with a bag of tools or a tool set, and then he's going to look at the problem and he's going to use whatever tool he thinks necessary. Sometimes it might be a wrench, it might be a spanner, it might just be a hammer to smash the problem. But you know, so I have a toolkit, if you like, with these different kind of techniques and protocols in. And then just by listening to my client, communicating, I don't think I'm going to do this no matter what. It depends on what the client says to me and what they want to change. But generally, it will be the same 4 or 5 tools that I will use. I don't need to have 1,000 tools, if you like. And that's what I do. So for me, it's quite a simple way of working, but it's an effective way of working. And it's an easy way to train people as well, because we don't give them one tool. We say, you know, here are some tools, and these are the kind of situations where you might want to use them. But then you let your student or then qualified hypnotherapist go out and make that decision for themselves. Sometimes one of these tools, like the Aero Technique, I kind of call that my adjustable spanner, because it fits a lot of different nuts, if you use the expression. So you can work with it for fear or pain or a lot of other things. Yeah.
So you you mentioned the Aero Technique. How did you come about this method? What is the Aero Technique? How did you discover it or created it? Did you create it or discover it? How did that work out for you?
I created it, I would say. Yeah, I created it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, for many years, I wouldn't work with anyone that's in physical pain, purely because I didn't think I had the kind of qualifications to do so. I'm not a medical person. I'm not medically trained. So I didn't believe I had the ability to help people. And so the first question when we work with pain, which I'll get into in a moment, is the pain of any use to you? Is it useless or unnecessary pain? Because with things like chronic pain, where the medical world are only giving that client patient pain relief, they're not doing anything else, then we know as hypnotherapists that we can help that person. And the reason I say that is, and I'm going to say something very strange, nothing exists outside of our skull except as perception. You might have a pain in your foot and you'll say, yeah, I've got a pain in my foot, but that's not where it's registering. If you were to sever your spinal cord at your neck, you could have your leg amputated and you wouldn't feel it. Mm-hmm. Because the pain is registering in your brain, not in your foot. Mm-hmm. And so we know that once we understand this, we can then look at pain, whether it's physical or emotional. And as hypnotherapists, because we work with the mind, we can help that person overcome it. So this is how it develops. As I said, for many years, I wouldn't approach or even think about helping people out of physical pain. Yeah. But in my life, I've had what's known as kidney stones, and apparently it's the worst pain known to man. Wow. They say the only pain worse than that is childbirth, and whoopee, as a man, I can't experience it. So I'd suffer from these kidney stones. And when I'm waiting for medication, because in those days, I had to go and get medication. And while I was waiting, as a way of distracting myself from the pain, I'd go to this very powerful memory of a time that I went to France with a girlfriend. This is back in the early 90s. And I drove down through France with this girlfriend, and we stopped on the way to a place called Augustin to have a picnic. So I would get back into the memory of that moment, and I'd kind of get deeper into the detail. What was the color of her shorts? What was the number plate of her car? What was the name of the beer we drank? What kind of cheese did we have? I'd try and get deeper and deeper into the memory. And the deeper I dug into the memory, the further away from the here and now I could get, if you like. I would dissociate from the now. So I had this in my mind. And I'd also read about Erickson, who in my mind is the genius, the kind of godfather of modern hypnotherapy. And I'd read about Erickson. He was a genius, as I said. Now he understood, if you, let's say you and I ask someone in the street what they think hypnosis is, they'd probably say it was sleep or relaxation, because that's how it appears on stage. And in fact, if you ask 100% of the hypnotherapists out there, they would say it has something to do with relaxation, because that's generally how they start their hypnotherapy session. Are you ready to be hypnotized? Take a breath in, relax. Yeah. So they'd also believe that. Well, it's all well and good, but if you ask someone who's in serious pain to relax, that's kind of ludicrous. They had no chance of doing it. Now, Erickson understood this. So if he had a client that was in serious pain, he would do the opposite. He would get them to focus on the pain itself. We know that another way of driving people into hypnosis is to get them to focus their attention. We might say, look at the light or look at the center of your hand. And then through that focus of attention, we drive them into hypnosis. So he would use pain itself. He'd say, go to the very center, the hot spot of that pain, and focus on that pain. So these two things were in my mind, dissociation and focusing on this hot spot. So I had a feeling I could put something together, but I'd never tried it. And then in 1999, I think it was, I was running a group for smoking down in Wales, maybe 200 people in a room. And I used to say, look, I'll be back in 6 weeks. If you know anyone else that wants to quit smoking, send them along. And someone said, well, can you help with pain? And I hadn't at that point in time, Eugene, but I said yes. So I said, but don't wait 6 weeks, just wait around. So anyway, she had a pain in her hip. Another lady there was on crutches. She'd had spondylosis. She had crumbling of the spine. She was in pain. So she stayed. And I didn't even have a name for it then. I ran the technique that's now known as the Aero. I didn't know whether it would work, but I acted as if it was absolutely going to work.
Yeah.
As if there was no doubt in my mind. And it worked for both these ladies. And so that's now become the Aero technique. It's a very simple technique, which I'm going to teach and show you how to use. But it's not many words. It's very easy. And that's why I want doctors all over the world to actually take this on board, because it's something you can do in a 5 or 10 minute doctor appointment. And you don't have to mention the word hypnosis and still get a result. So yeah, that's how it came about, purely through studying Erickson and his thinking on how to drive people in hypnosis and my own experience.
And that's so beautiful. And, you know, of course, some people will have to question this for themselves, but because there are some people who say, oh, this is not, or this is a hypnotic technique. So is it?
Is it a hypnotic technique? Well, I'm a hypnotist, so generally it's how I teach it and it's how I expect, you know, but then an induction can be my kind of version of the Elman induction. If I say to somebody, like, look, are you ready to lose this pain? I haven't mentioned hypnosis. I'll say, take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, allow your eyes to relax. Allow your eyes to relax so completely they just won't work. Imagine that's happened. When you realize they're so relaxed they just won't work, test them. And the moment the client goes like that, as far as I'm concerned, they're deep enough in hypnosis to carry on with this. So yes, I'm going to teach it as a hypnotic technique, but I'm saying to everybody out there, I want mothers to learn this. I want doctors to learn it. I want anyone that's ever going to come across somebody who is suffering from chronic pain and to be able to use this technique. And as you said earlier, it's out there as an app. It's a free app. You can download it to your phone, to your Android phone, your iPhone. It's called Painkiller app. And already tens of thousands of people have used it. We're getting, the guys who set this all up, you know, the tech guys, they have all the data, and we're getting a 93% positive result with that app, which is immense.
Wow.
And we have, and you know, Eugene, at the moment of doing this kind of interview, if you want, or this chat with each other, the opiate problem in the world is immense. Last year in America, 47,000 people died from accidental opiate overdoses. Yeah. It's millions of people around the world, and they have no answer to it. We do as hypnotherapists, we can help those people without any chemicals. So yeah, I'm passionate about it because I know it works, and I want as many people to learn it as possible.
Beautiful. So can you give us a glimpse on how is the Aero Technique done? Like, if somebody who's watching this video right now, if they would have an issue, a pain, you know, how to do it, like, you know, walk us through.
Well, I can demonstrate, but you're also going to learn it. So it's like I'm willing to do it because it's so easy to learn. All right.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Like, you know, people can.
So if anyone's out there, and anyway, initially we used this for chronic pain, and then obviously I travelled with my son Anthony. We travel and train all over the world, as you know, and it became pretty clear pretty quickly that if you can deal with physical pain, you can also deal with emotional pain, whether that's heartbreak, whether that's sadness, whatever it might be, grief. And so now it's become that technique. And then we sold it, and it's gone all around the world. Mm-hmm. And people didn't have our limitations, so they put fear in the target. So if anyone's in pain, whether it's physical or emotional, they want to experience this, then if you want me to run it, I'll run it now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So anyone that's listening to this and wants to be, first thing we do, Eugene, open your eyes. I know you're desperate to go into trance. I know you love this. There are two things I symptom scale. One is pain and one is fear. And the reason I symptom scale those two things is because we can remember being in pain, but we can't remember what it felt like once it's gone. You know, it's like, I always say that's why women have more than one child. They can remember what the first one felt like. I go, no, I'm stopping there. But, you know, we can remember what it felt like. And it's the same with fear. You know, we can remember being afraid of something, but once that fear's gone, you can't remember what it felt like. So I want everyone listening to this, if you're in some kind of pain, physical or emotional, I want you to symptom scale it. So 10 being excruciating, 0 being no pain at all. How bad is that pain at the moment? Just score that in your mind, okay? I hope you've done that now. Right. Yes. So if you're ready to be free of this pain, what I want you to do is just listen to my voice. I'm going to ask you to imagine some things. Do your utmost to imagine it. And if you do that, in a moment, every ounce of that useless, unnecessary pain will be gone, okay? So what you do is this, just get yourself comfortable. Okay, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, allow your eyes to close. Only as quickly as you're ready to be free of this useless pain. That's right. I want you to focus on those tiny muscles around your eyes and allow your eyes to relax. Let your eyes relax so completely they just won't work. Imagine that's happening. Think about the person you love most and feel those eyes relaxing completely. Imagine that's happened now and there's nothing you can do about that. Now I want you to have the most incredible experience of liberation. I want you to get a sense of yourself separating from your body, the essence of who you are, that intangible part of a human being. Some people call it the spirit, the soul, but the essence of who you are. Get a sense of that separating from your body in that chair. Leave your body in that chair for a while. And get a sense of yourself drifting further and further away. And I want you to notice as you drift away from that body in that chair, that the essence of who you are is ageless and it is infinite. How incredible is that? Look back at that body in that chair, just for a moment, show it some appreciation. How incredible is that body in that chair? It is the most incredible creation in the known universe. How incredible are you? And as you drift further and further away from that body, imagine you're drifting so high now that you can actually look down and see the planet Earth below you. See that beautiful, incredible blue planet below you. Get a sense of the whites of the mountaintops and the clouds, the greens of the forests and the blue of the ocean. Get a sense of that incredible blue planet below you. And how lucky are you to have landed on this planet, of all the planets in the universe? How lucky are you? And I want you to notice, as you look at that planet from way off, how your perception changes. You think about the 8 billion people on that planet, of which you are one unique, incredible individual. Get a sense of that now. Notice as you think about that, how your perception changes. Things that had seemed overwhelming no longer have any power over you. Things that had seemed hard or difficult to overcome no longer have any power over you. Now in your mind's eye, get a sense of the target, like an archery target, a massive target between you and the planet Earth. See the colored band, see the very center. Now in the center of that target is every ounce of useless, unnecessary pain and discomfort, both physical and emotional. And whether you call that emotional pain anxiety or stress or hurt or sadness, put it in the center of that target. Now, in a moment, I'm going to make this sound. As I make that sound, you will be fired, shot like an arrow, straight through that target, straight out the other side, into a space of total bliss. But I want you to be brave about this, because as you go through the center of that target, you may experience that useless, unnecessary pain even more intensely for a split second. But be brave. This is the last time this is ever going to affect you, so get ready. As I make that sound, you'll be fired, shot like an arrow, straight through that target, straight out the other side in a millisecond. Get ready. Now you're out the other side, just drifting in that space of bliss. Get a sense of the people you love, people that love you. See those faces, see those smiles, feel that love. Think about the people you've helped with your skills. How incredible are you? And feel that love right now. Feel it like a burning hot sun in the summer sky. Shrink it down to a white hot nuclear powered ball of light as big as a golf ball. Now pull that into your heart center and feel it exploding through your body into every cell, every fiber, into the very marrow of your bones. Feel it lighting you up. And notice as your body's flooded with that incredible feeling of light and love and joy, that every ounce of useless, unnecessary pain, both physical and emotional, has gone from your body and your mind. Get a sense of yourself drifting across the other side of your room now. So you can see yourself sitting in that chair. You can see the clothes you're wearing. You can hear my voice. And notice as you watch yourself from the other side of the room, how every ounce of useless, unnecessary pain, both physical and emotional, has gone from your body, gone from your mind. You cannot feel it, you cannot experience it. And I'd like you, your unconscious mind, to make those changes now at a molecular, cellular, neurological level that will allow you that freedom forever. Only when the unconscious mind knows and has made those changes and allows the conscious mind to accept the changes made, only then will you be able to drift back over to your body, drop down into your body in that chair. Only then will your eyes be able to open and you, with a smile on your face, unable to experience any of the useless, unnecessary physical and emotional pain. Go ahead, take your time, do it thoroughly while I wait quietly for your return. That's right. Only as quickly as the unconscious mind knows and has made those changes. Only then with your eyes open, a smile on your face, feeling absolutely incredible. That's right. Where's the pain gone now? Try and feel it and find you cannot. Enjoy. So that's it. The whole thing. Right. So that's the hour.
That was really, I was like, I went really deep with it. I was like going, gone.
Good. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. But that's pretty much it. Okay. I mean, we can try and make it more complex. It doesn't have to be more complex. And
yeah,
as I said,
why make it complex? Yeah.
Well, that's my attitude. I mean, there are some people, we know in the hypnotherapy business, that think if it's complex and I can do it, that somehow makes me cleverer than you. I believe that I want everyone to learn what I'm teaching. I want everyone to better use this. I believe it's a gift, a natural gift that's been given to us. We just have to know we have it, and then we can utilize it. So yeah, that's the Aero Technique.
And actually, you said something very, very important right now, because I realized not just therapists have this vision, but actually clients as well. They have this vision that if things are complicated, they are difficult to solve, they are painful to solve, and they take a long time to solve. And all of these are dependent on how long or how long they had the problem and how big the problem is for them.
Yeah, and it's true. And everyone feels that their problem's the worst problem ever.
Yeah.
And then you realize that pretty much everyone's got the same problems. They seem immense for us. But the thing is, as I said to, once we understand that none of this exists outside of our skull except as perception, then we realize that it's not complex. It's not, I don't have to know everything about your anatomy to help you overcome useless pain. In fact, I don't want to get involved in it, because it doesn't matter whether the pain's in your back or how long you've had it. If the pain's useless and unnecessary, that's all I need to know. And people are going to want to tell you their problems, especially they've been to other kind of talking therapies where they've been held in the past for so long, talking about why they are like they are. I don't want to be rude and say I'm not interested in why you're like you are. It might be interesting, but I want my clients to say, I ask, how do you want to be an hour from now? How do you want to be a week from now? How do you want to be next year? Because we have a tool called Hypnosis that can move our clients very rapidly from where they are to where they want to be. And you can give people demonstrations of that very simply with, doing the finger lock. You can do arm motion to get them to understand the power of their mind. And ultimately, they don't care how the technique works. They just want the outcome. It's only other therapists that get involved in the complexities of what's going on in this technique. As I said, I want everyone to learn how to do this.
Now, when you have clients, you know, because like for instance, the Aero Technique, you can use it with acute pain, which is like I just hit myself right now, or with you know, emotional pain. But what if people come to you and say, hey, you know what, I've had this suffering for many years, and you know, like I can't get to the bottom of it. I don't know where or how it started, but I've just been suffering from it for so long. And you know, would you use then the Aero Technique, or would you do something else? How would that work?
Are you talking about emotional, physical?
It can be either or, you know, it can be any of
Okay.
them.
Most people, like you say, don't know where this began. When we work with panic attacks, people have a panic attack. It's just come out of the blue. They have all the experience of a phobia, as if there's something actually to run away from or fight. So their body's flooded with adrenaline. With a phobia, we generally know what it is. I'm afraid of spiders. I see a spider, I'm panicking. I see a snake, I see a needle. So we can avoid those things. With panic attacks, we don't know. So I will use in those situations, in the situation you're talking about. So I've had this for years. I have no idea where it started. To be honest with you, Eugene, it doesn't matter where it started. But if I think there's value in reassessing a past traumatic experience or reviewing a past traumatic experience, then I'll run what I call a time machine, Jacqueline time machine. Again, like the Aero, it takes kind of less than 5 minutes. But there's a lot of the backbone of a lot of hypnotherapy businesses out there, and coaching and teaching is what's known regression to cause.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, there's whole schools of therapy built on that one technique, regression to cause. But it's a very outdated mode of working. It's based on the old Freudian way of working. I trained initially, and I've only ever done one course. I'm going to tell everyone that now. I've only ever done one hypnotherapy training course, and it was this course. And I have to tell you now, it wasn't a very good course. It was called, no, seriously, it was called Successful Hypnotherapy, How to Be Successful at Financial. That's what he meant. Not how to help your clients, but how to be successful financially. And it was based on the old Freudian way of working. You'd lay someone on the couch. You say how long ago it was. You'd lay your client on the couch. You'd hypnotize them, and then you'd say, tell me the first thing that comes into mind. And over a period of weeks or months, you'd get back to what was known as the cathartic moment. That's why I'm feeling like I'm feeling. It would take weeks or months. It's a very painful and very expensive way of working with people. And I'll tell you now, this is how unethical that course, the guy who was teaching that course was. I'm not going to name him because he might still be alive. But he would say this: look, you're here, you know, you're going to keep your client in therapy for 12 weeks. Don't matter what they come in with, you're going to keep them in therapy for 12 weeks. And you do this like this. This is what this man said. He said, you hypnotize your client, and at the end of your kind of hours therapy, you say this. They're in hypnosis, and you say this. In a moment, I'm going to count to 10. You'll drift back up, and you'll find yourself looking forward to our next session, where we can continue to work together towards the end of this thing, right?
Wow.
They're in hypnosis, and you've just suggested they're going to look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.
Then they are going to look forward to seeing you again. It's the most unethical way of doing any kind of therapy. But so many people, without even realizing it, they're building a reliance on the therapist. The therapist builds a reliance on their self. That's not what we want, in my mind. You know, I want my client to go out, understand that they are making the changes, and take responsibility for it, not me. And so I want my client out of my room as quickly as possible. I want them to be as well as quickly as possible. It's maybe not the best business model, but for me, it's the most ethical way. If I can help someone in an hour, I'm going to help them in an hour. You know, sometimes it takes longer, but it's never going to, I fully don't expect to see my client more than 3 or 4 times. That's just the way I work. But anyway, so that was the way of working, which was regression to cause, painful and long-winded way of working with people.
Yeah.
But there are times when I think it's of value to reassess or reevaluate a past event, because here's the sad thing about us as human beings. Most of the beliefs we have about ourselves, what we're capable of, what we can, what we cannot do, even our religious beliefs, Eugene, were created by a child under 7 years old.
Yeah.
And you would not have a 6-year-old, 4-year-old boy making a lifelong decision about what you're capable of. So, yeah, so let's make sure we're all fine. That's it. Yeah, so for me, so there are times, and this is how I work. I create this thing what's called a Jacqueline time machine. And bear in mind, you know, I'm a hypnotist. I use hypnosis as a therapeutic tool, but ultimately I'm a hypnotist. And so I'm going to utilize that. But when my client's in hypnosis, if I think it's of value to look at something again, I'm going to take them back, but as they are now, with the understandings they have now as an adult, with the strength they have now, the experience they have now, to reassess it and reevaluate. Because if you made a decision when you were 5 years old and you're looking at when you're 30 years old, you're going to reassess that in a different way. So, and again, it's very rapid. I just say a chair's a time machine. I'm going to snap my fingers. You're going to go back through time, but you're going to go back with the understanding you have now. Back to the very first moment that relates to this problem. And if it's panic attacks, because they won't remember when that started, they will go back to that moment. And you go, okay, now look at it again from where you are now, from the evolved situation you're in now. Take the learnings, take the strengths, and when you're ready to free yourself from the negative emotion, give that younger you a hug, say goodbye. It's done in minutes, not hours or weeks or months. So yeah, so I created what I call the Jacqueline time machine. Again, it's very rapid, but as you know, as we've spoken about before, the Aero Technique, you consider it a rapid technique, consider the time machine a rapid technique. That's not where the value lies, in the speed you can do it. The value lies in the outcome. It just happens to be a very powerful technique that can be done in a very short period of time.
For sure. Now, if we were, I mean, if somebody were to, let's say, watch this presentation and they would actually want to do this session, could you give us like like if you were to do it with someone right now, and some, you know, and the audience would listen and they want to revisit something from their past, can we do something like that?
Yeah, I would say, right, because I don't know what the thing is they're thinking about, and I don't want to drag people back into a trauma because I don't know what's going on out there, you know. So, but what we will do is, because you can do it two ways. It's like with the Aero Technique, you can do it to eliminate pain, or you can do it to flood your body with confidence and love. So I'm going to run the time machine as I would do, but we're going to go back to a positive emotion.
Yes.
You know, I know when you were traveling in the Far East and all that, I've seen photographs of you, you know, in your godlike state. So, you know, if you wanted to go back to a moment when you thought, you know what, oh, I'd love to feel that again, then we're going to go back to that moment. So anyone listening to this who's thinking, oh, I'd love to go back. Maybe it was the moment you first held your child in your arms. It might be the first time you met your partner, but go back to a time when you felt super confident or you felt super loved. We're going to go back with the time machine. We're going to reclaim it, all right? So are you ready to do this? If you're already out there, people who are listening, once again, take that wonderful deep breath in. As you breathe out, allow your eyes to close, okay? And just go back into that wonderful state of hypnosis. You'll know how to do this. Go into that place of trance. Imagine it's happening automatically as you listen to my voice. You're just drifting into that incredible, beautiful space. Just for a while. Nobody wants anything. No one expects anything. There's nothing for you to do but to enjoy that state. Imagine it's happening now. And as you drift in that space, my voice drifts with you to become a part of your experience now. Everything I say now is your reality. Every suggestion I give you, your mind and body will act upon it. A molecular, cellular, neurological levels, now your reality. Just for a while, you'll see what I say you can see. You'll feel what I say you can feel. You'll believe what I say you believe as you go deeper and deeper into that wonderful state. That's right. And as you drift into that state, that chair you're in is a time machine. And you are going to go back through time as if time doesn't exist. You're going to go back with all the understandings you have now as an adult. You're going to go back to the most wonderful moment in your life, a moment of pure joy or love or laughter or gratitude, but a moment of pure joy and love. I'm going to snap my fingers and that chair and you are going to get sucked back to that moment in time. You'll remember where you were. You'll remember who you were with. Get ready. As I snap my fingers, that chair and you're going to get sucked back through time, back to the most wonderful moment in your life. That's right, you're back there now. See that younger you just about to experience that feeling. Drop down beside them and walk them through that experience. You remember where you were, remember you were with. That's right. See it. See that younger you just about to walk through that experience, the joy and love and happiness. That's right. And when you're ready to bring that feeling back with you, I want you to give that younger you a hug and pull them into you so they become part of you once again. And feel that feeling flooding your body and mind, exploding through your body. How incredible are you? Feel into that wonderful feeling. You are loved, you are loved, you are loving. Feel into it. That's right. How incredible is that? And when you're ready, drift back to your body, drop down into your body in that chair. And when your eyes open, that feeling is going to be with you. And you're going to take it into everything you do because you are loved and you are loved and you are loving. Take your time, do it thoroughly while I wait quietly for your return. That's right. Feel that wonderful feeling. Breathe it in. Let it fill you up. That's right. You are loved. You are loved. You are loving. Okay, so you can use both the arrow and the time machine in different ways. You can go back and you can look at a trauma and you can take the learnings from it and let go of the negative emotion and say goodbye to that younger you. Or you can go back to a positive emotion in your life and you can bring that into you and keep it with you. So, you know, none of this stuff exists outside of your skull, except it's perception anyway. You can use it in every way you want. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're feeling that feeling of joy.
Absolutely. And what I love exactly what you just said now, you know, because these techniques can be used both for therapy if you need to, you know, do some therapy, but you can also use it for a, you know, beautiful, loving experience that you can revisit from yourself and, you know, use that to create a change you want to create for yourself.
Yeah, and why would we not do that for ourselves? You know, every now and again, we're feeling a little bit down. You know, we're feeling whatever. Let's go back, take ourselves back. We all know how to do this now. Just repeat the word relax in your mind. Find a place where you can sit quietly and just say, in a moment, I'll snap my fingers. I'm going to go back to that moment, spend time there, pull that younger you into you, feel it once again. You know, you can do this for your clients. Do it for yourself.
Beautiful. So good, so good, so good. I love it. So now, as you're working with clients and you're working with yourself, of course, I wanted to ask you, are you getting clients who are more interested in let me rephrase this question actually. Many times I have clients who come to me and says, how many sessions do I need? Or will this be taking long, or will this be done in one session? Or because some of them, they come with this prerequisite in their mind, so to speak, with this preconceived idea that it has to take forever, some of them, and others actually come with the idea that says, oh, it's a one session thing and then I'm done, I'm gone, it's all good, I'm fixed. So, you know, how is your experience with this?
Well, I mean, there are certain things that I call binary that are either are or they're not. Things like smoking, and fear, and anxiety, pain. You know, they're things that are kind of tangible. You can say, I either need a cigarette or I don't need a cigarette. I personally, and this is just my feeling, with the technique I run for smoking, I fully expect my client to go out of that room after one session free of the smoking habit. And it's the same with fear and phobia. I find it very difficult, in fact, to kind of pad it out for even an hour with a phobia, because I know we can blast these things out very quickly. And so I would suggest, and it's only recently, purely because people have been suggesting it to me, that I sell 4 sessions.
Okay.
I've seen, as you know, I've seen over 30,000 clients once, Eugene. That's not good business, because you know how much it costs to generate. If I've seen those people 12 times, I'll be talking to you from my yacht, so because that's a difference in the kind of financial stuff. But I find it very difficult to say to somebody it's going to take 6 sessions if I believe I can help them there and then. But on the other hand, things like personal development and weight loss, those things, then, it's a much more holistic kind of approach to it. Yeah. And often people say, well, and I often say to my clients, I say, look, once you realize how easy it was to overcome this drug problem or this smoking habit that you've had for years, you may think, what else in my life would I like to deal with? In which case we can work together over the next few weeks to do that. So if someone says to me how many sessions, I'll say, well, look, if we get it right, depending on what it is, I'll say, I fully expect you're going to get a result today. But sometimes it takes a bit longer. And sometimes, Eugene, we actually have to hold our hands up and say we can't help you. We get great results. I believe as hypnotherapists, we get better results than pretty much any other kind of therapy out there. But we're dealing with human beings. They also have to understand it's collaboration. It's not me doing something to you. This is us working together. I'm on your side. And when I say to my students, I say, look, if we're working with human beings here, hold this thought in your heart. I care about you. I want you to be well. We should do anyway. Yeah. But if we hold that in our heart, and we can say it to our clients, I care about you and I want you to be well. But this is a collaboration. When I deal with people for smoking, I say, look, when you leave here today, you will always be able to smoke. But the need for a cigarette will be gone. That I promise you. At the moment, you don't feel you have any choice. You are lighting up 20 times a day. It's killing you and it's costing you. You don't feel you have a choice. If I was to hypnotize you and make you do this, you'd still have no choice. It'd be me making you do it. So when you leave here today, you'll have 2 choices. And you're going to make that choice. And because it comes from you and not me, it will last forever. There are so many hypnotherapists out that think they're going to tell that person what to do because they're a hypnotist. And that might last for a period of time. But if we give our clients, if we make them part of the therapy, if we make them understand that they are going to do this, they can take the credit for it. They can take the pride in quitting smoking or giving up that drug or losing the weight, then it lasts forever. It's not, oh, well, I went to see this strange bald guy and he hypnotized me and he made me do it. That's not how it is. But by giving them the responsibility, it's a different way of working. But it's a much more profound way of working, and I think it's a much better way of working and more effective way of working by explaining to them this is a collaboration. We're going to do this together. I'm on your side, but really all I'm doing, this is what I believe, Eugene. Let's think about pain, which you'd think is one of the most incredible things that you can do for another human being. Someone comes in, they're in agony, and then 30 minutes later, they're going out of your room and they haven't got the pain. That's pretty miraculous. But the fact is, that person already had the ability to do that before they met me. Yeah. It's not me going, all right, take this. I'm giving you some kind of fluence on you. No, they already had the ability. The person walks out of my therapy room, the need for a cigarette's gone. They already had that ability. They just didn't know it. They didn't know it. All I'm doing in my therapy room is getting my client out of their own way. That little voice says, I can't quit smoking. I can't lose this pain. I can't do that. I get that out of the way for a while. That's what hypnosis does. And then the unconscious mind goes, what do I need to do? But they are doing it. It's not me. It's not me doing this. That's what I believe. And so by giving them the responsibility, giving them the freedom and telling them they have a choice now. Take the choice. And they do make that change. if they think it's me doing it to them, at any point in time, that could wear off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want it to wear off. I want them to be free of the habit forever. I want them to be free of the pain forever. So it's just a different way of thinking about this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Freddie, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for your, sharing your expertise and your knowledge and your techniques with us. Please tell us, where can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more from you and from what you do and get in touch with you? How can they do that?
If they want to train with me, and it's the Jacqueline Hypnosisacademy.com. If you're interested and want to learn more about it, then just go to JackquineHypnosisAcademy.com. You can get a 14-day free membership there. And in that 14 days, you can see the work I've done with you and the work we've done with my man Dale, all of that stuff. They can get access to that for free, get access to the whole of the Aero Technique, like the 2-hour training on the Aero Technique. And if they want, they can stay with us as members. It's £1 a day, so it's not expensive. And you can take part in our diploma course. That's that. So Freddy Jacquin, if you want to work with me particularly, or like on a one-to-one session, then you can go to freddyjacquin.com, dead simple, and book those sessions with me. And that's the easiest way. You can read my book, Hypnotherapy. And there's another book out there, which is, again, you can get on Amazon, which is The Lazy Way to Enlightenment. I don't know if you've heard of that yet, Eugene, but that's my book out there. So you can get those 2 books. You can get them both as an Audible as well, so you can listen to me if you want to. And the other thing which we didn't speak about, which if you've got 5 minutes, I'll tell you, is about the blink and delete technique.
Yes. Right. Anything that you can teach, we'll get it. We'll take it.
Right. Well, a blink and delete technique is something I've come up with in the last few months, and it's very simple. But I'd ask all of you who are listening to just do this. It's very simple, and it's based on the idea that we are making decisions throughout our life. Every day we make decisions. Most of them are not important. Shall I have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee? Not important. But every now and again in our life, we make big decisions. And one of the things about when we look back at these decisions, a lot of the big decisions, the life-changing decisions that we make are made in an emotional state. And the thing about emotion, like we were talking about earlier, when we're emotional, we're not functioning optimally. So if you're angry, you're not functioning optimally. So most of the major decisions we make are made in an emotional state. And I've been saying it's kind of tongue in cheek, but I say, never decide to get married when you're absolutely crazy in love with someone. When that first 3 months of, I can't wait to see him, don't make that decision then. Wait till they're having a cup of tea or they've left the cap off the toothpaste before you make that decision, So we're making these big decisions in our life in emotional states, and we're not functioning optimally. So if we come up against a block, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't overcome this, I'm never any good at this. The question you ask is this: when did I make that decision? How old was I? Where was I? Who was I with? And was it even my decision? When you ask that question, I promise you, you'll immediately go to where you made the decision. You won't take 3 months or 3 years of analysis to get there. You'll immediately go to where you made the decision. And then you ask the next question. Now that I've evolved, because you have evolved, you're not the same man as you were 3 months ago or 30 years ago. We're evolving all the time. The second question is, now that I've evolved, is that decision any longer viable, or is it an obsolete decision that I made in a less informed state? And if the answer comes back, no, that's no longer viable now that I've evolved, then you blink twice, you delete that decision, you go to neutral, which you can learn how to do in my book, which is a neutral emotion, and make a new decision. So it's very simple, and you can do this going about your day. When you come to that thought runs through your head, I can't do this, I'm never going to do that. When did I make that decision? How old was I? Where was I? Who was I with? Was it even my decision? And the fourth part of that question, when you ask that, was it even my decision? You'll find that a lot of the beliefs you have about yourself were not even your beliefs. They were someone else's opinion.
Yeah.
So when you ask that question, you'll immediately go to where you made the decision. Then you ask the next question. Now that I've evolved, is that decision any longer viable, or is it an obsolete decision I made in a less informed state? And if the answer comes back, no, that's no longer viable, now I've evolved, blink twice, delete it, go to neutral, make a new decision. That's it. Blink and delete.
Yeah. So, you know, you make it sound so easy. It's like, I am going to have to replay this session, just this part, to, you know, to go through it again, because it's like, did it already finish the technique? It's like, it was so quick and so fast, you know.
Well, someone said to me, write a book on the blink and delete. I said, it's an A4 piece of paper at most, and it's an understanding. But it's so powerful, Eugene.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's so powerful. And we can do this for ourselves as we're going about our day. Because how many times during a day do we think, oh, I can't do that. I'm not any good at that. You know, oh, I've got public speaking coming up, or I'm feeling a bit anxious. When did I make that decision? That's even scary.
Yeah.
How old was I? Where was I? Who was I with? And you go there.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because you see, when you are saying, when did I make that decision, that kind of like implies a volition from you, kind of like, I sat down one day and I decided I should feel afraid of cats. I don't know, I'm just saying, right? Whereas, you know, this kind of happened in the background and you were the recipient of the result of it. So it's so interesting because when you're asking this question, when I made a decision, you're actually bringing from the background to the front. And now you're suddenly aware. Sometimes people, they don't even know. And it's like, oh my God, it happened when I was 2 years old, or when I was 5 years old, or when I was 10 years old. You know, it's just like suddenly I'm aware of it. Yeah.
I mean, I tell you how it first came about for me. I was running this group called the Creating the Body, Health and Happiness group. Right, rather than a weight loss group, who wants to lose weight? But creating your body, that's kind of exciting rather than losing weight. So I always go about it that way now, rather than saying, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to create the body you want? So I ran this group, and a friend of mine in Australia, she said to me, your energy was off. I'm thinking, I'm not into I know you're a bit more into energy than I am, but I'm thinking, what was it? So we'd have to look at it. And anyway, then she explained, I think you're building a reliance, because I'd run this group for a year. And I think you're building a reliance on yourself for these people. They're reliant on you to achieve their goals. And I asked the question, and the answer came back, I have a need for approval. And that's not a very attractive trait, to be honest. So I need approval. So I woke up the next morning and I just asked the question, when did I make that decision that I need approval? And so I immediately went to like 4 years old with my dad, who never has really approved of me, right? So, and he's still alive. So anyway, I went immediately there. I looked at it again from where I am now, from the things that I've achieved so far. And is that decision any longer viable now that I've evolved? No, or blink twice and delete it. Because there's a difference between appreciating people approving of what you do, than needing their approval. It's the difference, Eugene, between appreciating being loved and needing to be loved.
Oh, that was so beautiful. That was so beautiful.
It's the difference between appreciating someone being in your life and needing someone in your life. And so it was very clear to me that at that point in time, so I went, next time I ran the group, I said, look, I care about you and I want you to be well, but I don't need your approval. And I appreciate you approving of me and I appreciate that, but I don't need it. And I don't want you to need me. Appreciate that I want you to be happy and well, but don't need me in your life. You don't need me to lose the weight you want to lose. Yeah. But it sounds kind of harsh thing to say to your loved partner. I don't need you. I truly appreciate being in my life. I don't need you. And if they've got anything about them, they'll realize they're in your life because you appreciate them being in your life, not because you're needy and want them in your life. Yeah. So it was a big thing for me. So I use it myself, and I say you immediately go there, don't question it. can that possibly be true? You'll see it, look at it again, ask the question, and then let go of that. I think it's a very powerful thing to do for ourselves and for our clients, to teach our clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very powerful thing. And it's so beautiful the way you said it, and making that very clear distinction between appreciating and needing, or saying it out of the overflowing of your heart rather than from the over needing of your heart. That's, so powerful. And I'm sorry, it's so powerful and it's so efficient at the same time. I love that. It is
Well, I think that
beautiful.
understanding as well is for all of us. There's a difference between getting home at 6 o'clock in the evening and thinking, oh, I'd really like a glass of wine, than going home and think, oh, I need a glass of wine.
Yeah.
The moment we say I need, then we're in trouble. And I think once we find that distinction between those two things, I appreciate being loved. I don't need to be loved. I appreciate people approving what I do. I don't need their approval. And it's a big leap, but it's a major thing for us to understand. And I think it's a major thing for our clients to understand. There's a difference between wanting and needing. But anyway, that's the blink and delete technique in a blink.
And a blink, and I blink and love it. I blink and love it. Awesome. Freddie, again, thank you so much. It's been it's always a joy to connect with you and to,
And
chat
you,
with you.
yeah.
It's
You're one of
always
my
a joy.
favorite people in the world,
And so are you. Thank you. I feel blessed.